Hey everyone, today I am discussing a topic that was recently discussed on the Festival Insider podcast about EDM influencers and their role at music festivals. Also, I'm going to be talking about media outlets in general at festivals. Who do I think should be considered as a media outlet? And this podcast really had a really awesome conversation, and I listened to it, I let it sink in, and then I listened to it again, and I was trying to construct some type of comment or reply so that I could discuss the good, the bad, the ugly that I've been through as a smaller media outlet with festivals within the last few years. And the conclusion I came to was I have way too much to say, so that's why I'm filming this video. Welcome back to Living by the F Word. My name is Jess. I'm a fine artist, flight attendant, and festival enthusiast, and I talk about F words I'm passionate about here on my channel. For as long as I could remember, festivals and live events have been a big part of my life. All throughout high school, I was a part of a female production team that would run punk rock shows throughout the state of New Jersey. And since the early 2000s, I've been attending festivals. And since 2010, I have been continuously attending festivals, especially dance music festivals. That's pretty much when I got introduced to EDM. So if you're interested in learning about my story a little bit more, I did just film a video about how raving and solo travel changed my life, and I go into great detail about the festival industry professionals I connected with through solo travel and my role within the festival industry in the last several years. But just to give you a summary of my role within the festival industry, I am a smaller media outlet. I have a personal blog, and when I covered festivals, I really like to show things from a fan perspective. So I started with after movies and doing after movies of festivals from a fan perspective, showing the fans, showing dancing, showing what was actually happening there, the costumes, the conversation, stuff like that. And when I would write on my blog reviews, I would always write from a fan perspective as well and give the festival some feedback as far as what I loved about it or what I thought they could improve. So before I dive into the good, the bad, and the ugly with everything I experienced, I just want to talk about the Festival Insider podcast a little bit. So this podcast is up and coming. If you are a festival goer or you are within the festival industry and you are not subscribed or following Festival Insider, you are seriously up. And I say that because it is co-hosted by two people. One is Emma Capotis, who is an EDM festival fan that has really brought together ravers and electronic dance music fans through her content on YouTube, Instagram, and her podcast, Rave Culture Cast. The other co-host is Michael Julian, who is an industry veteran. He has been in the business for a long time, and he has been a part of the team for Electric Zoo and Elro. So essentially what they're doing is they are bridging the gap between festival goers and people that work for festivals and having a place where they can talk about everything festivals from both perspectives. So honestly, this is like everything I used to do when I used to write on my blog, so I am so for it, and you definitely need to check it out. They're only on episode 3, and as you can tell, they've lit a fire under my ass because I'm filming my own video in response to their last episode. So really, really stoked for this podcast to see what they have to say, who they're going to bring on the podcast, etc. But yeah, I really felt like so compelled to share my personal story as a smaller media outlet and discuss some of the topics they were discussing on this most recent podcast. I'm going to kind of dive into how I have kind of seen media change throughout the years. And so I feel like when I first started going to festivals, it was a lot about blogs and, the photography. And then, of course, video got more popular. So when live streaming started, and then people also started posting these live streams on YouTube, and with social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, getting more and more popular, basically people were able to share their own content, and that is how I think the influencer was born. And because people were able to share their own content and still can, that is what has been becoming increasingly popular as far as media coverage. So personally, I think that media and influencers are two different ball games, although they both are content creators and they both do work hard. So before I even start out, I really want to make it clear that I don't want to discredit anyone, because I think that everyone's role with creating content, it serves a purpose and it is important, and they do work hard. Everyone works hard, whether you write, whether you film and edit or take photos, or if you're creating content for looks, festival fashion, makeup. I think that everyone is deserving of a spot in this community, of course. For me personally, I think media is there to educate you, to inspire you to perhaps attend a festival or maybe not want to attend a festival, depending on the review that they give. And I think influencers are also there to inspire you, but I think that they are just inspiring in a different way. So they're trying to make you use a product or learn a new skill that might fit in with the festival community. Maybe they have a certain type of persona or lifestyle that they are influencing you to try to live in that way. Let me break it down for you how I would categorize these two types of media. Basically, I think that media would be something like a mega blog. So that's something that would cover EDM news, DJ news, festival news, equipment news, streaming platforms, technology updates, festival updates, interviews, etc. Then there's personal blogs, which personally I feel like I am a part of this category here. Personal blogs are typically someone solo working for themselves, but they still share festival news. They also share personal experiences. They tell stories. They have solutions to attendee problems. They share honest feedback and reviews for the festival attendees and the staff, in addition to having festival updates on their website. Then, of course, we have photographers and videographers. They capture moments in time. They share content that can be relived over and over. We have YouTubers and podcasters, which in recent years have gained more popularity because both have an open format that cover a variety of topics pertaining to the industry. So influencers, on the other hand, I think that they, in particular, are inspiring people to use a product, try a new skill, or live life in a certain way. So whether that's a brand or a product like rave clothing, rave brands, rave accessories, shoes, style guides, makeup and glitter, festival apps, hydration packs, or items for a festival goer specifically. They also might have some type of skill that they use, like shuffling, candy making, hoopers, glovers, pixel whippers, or any type of flow arts individual. And then also just a persona in general. So basically, they represent a way of life, a lifestyle, an icon of some sort. And now, in more recent times, I feel like you kind of can find a hybrid of both. So basically, when you hear someone say that they're a content creator, I would say that they are a hybrid between media and influencers, because they're really doing it all. Like, they are doing the damn thing. They have a YouTube channel, they have a podcast, they are selling you products that they believe in, and they really are creating content on all these different platforms, not just one in particular. I think what it comes down to is, I think all these people are extremely important, and I really think no one should be discredited at all. Like, I feel like everyone works hard. I think a lot of people give influencers a lot of crap because it looks like they're just, sitting pretty type of thing. It takes so much time. In fact, I have really struggled with that part of content creating, because setting up, your camera, setting up the outfits you're going to change into, doing transition videos, doing makeup, doing all of that, it is so time consuming. It really is. And to set your stage up and all that, it really does take time to plan that content out. And I do think it's a lot of hard work. I also do think that writing blogs, filming, editing videos, editing photos, all of that is also very time consuming and a lot of work. So I just feel like I hope eventually we can come to a place where everyone is welcomed as far as media at festivals, because I do tend to think with this recent popularity of TikToks and Reels and influencing in general, I think that the number has become a major problem when it comes to obtaining a media pass at a festival. It's all about numbers and what your reach is and what your engagement is, when really, truly, there could be someone with low numbers as far as a social following that is extremely passionate about festivals. They have been attending festivals nonstop. They have so much information to share. They know how to educate people. They know what they are talking about. But unfortunately, these people don't even get a chance because they don't have the numbers that, say, someone else has, that actually can potentially be damaging to an event, in my opinion. And so, like, an example of where I think someone's account having a higher following might be damaging to a certain event would be influencers at Burning Man. And I'm going to get into that a little later. Hey, it's Editing Jess here. First of all, this bang, oh my God, driving me crazy editing. But I forgot to talk about Burning Man influencers, so I'm gonna pop that in here. Basically, the reason why I think large accounts and large, basically, influencers going to Burning Man are damaging to the event is because they are making things that are misleading, basically, for people. So they are getting brand partnerships and they are wearing this elaborate fashion out at Burning Man to get photos that they're getting paid for, getting paid to post for, which completely breaks one of Burning Man's principles, which is decommodification. Decommodification basically means that it is Black Rock City, where Burning Man is, the city that is Burning Man, is a advertising free zone, free of basically the regular social norms where things are being advertised to be sold to you, the influencer lifestyle. Yeah, it basically goes against that. So that's problem number one. Number two, a lot of times these outfits are, very elaborate with feathers, sequins, beads, things that create moop. So moop is matter out of place. And leaving no trace is another Burning Man principle that these outfits kind of give this like misleading thing or, suggestive appearance to like regular people that want to go to Burning Man. Like they see these influencers, they see these outfits and they're like, oh, that's what people wear at Burning Man and that's what Burning Man's like. And so then they go to Burning Man and they wear things like that and they're uncomfortable and they realize that this city is massive and people really aren't wearing stuff like that. That is an instance where I think larger accounts and larger influencers can be damaging to an event because they are spreading the wrong information. They are not practicing the 10 principles. They are going against it. I do want to talk about some good experiences I've had where festivals have given me the chance to have media and what those opportunities did to help me. And then I'm also going to talk about some not so great experiences I had as a smaller media outlet and maybe how the festival industry can change and learn from these experiences. Okay, so I'm going to start with Groove Cruise. Shocker, anyone that's subscribed to this channel knows my Groove Cruise story. I have so much love and respect for Groove Cruise, Wet Travel, the company that throws Groove Cruise, Jason Buchema, the owner of Groove Cruise. They just have given me so many opportunities, and that is ultimately really how my blog launched and how I started creating videos. Was I created an after movie. It was 15 minutes long for Groove Cruise in 2014, just using my GoPro, just was an attendee, just wanted to share what it was like being on board. And looking back on it, like I look at the editing and it's so cringeworthy. Like it is not that great, but everyone loved it. Everyone loved it because almost everyone was in it. I mean, I filmed everyone. I filmed everyone's costumes. I filmed everyone's outfits. I filmed everyone dancing. I filmed the stages, the DJs. Like I filmed literally everything that I could and I showed what it was really like to be there. And so this kind of led to actually being offered media on Groove Cruise. And the benefit of them giving me this opportunity was it forced me to step my game up. Like I really stepped my game up when I had official media coverage for Groove Cruise. I got a DSLR camera. I practiced it editing more. When I edited the video that I did for that year, I felt like it was one of the best videos I've ever edited because I was teaching myself new skills. So it really helped me and as like a blogger and a vlogger. And so that was really important. Another festival that gave me an opportunity was SXM Festival in St. Martin. And this was such a great experience, but I want to just say, like, it started out with me just covering their event as a fan. No media. I just went down there in 2016, the first year that they were hosting their festival, and I just wrote about it. I just wrote about it because I loved festivals so much. And I gave them advice at the end. So basically, at the end of all my blog posts, I always write something I love or ways to improve. There was so many great things that they had going on for them as a first year running event. Especially because there was actually local protests on the island that year too, which actually, so many things could have gone wrong, but they really handled everything really well. Their communication was great. I know that I said that about a positive aspect for them. They were always keeping people in the loop, which was so important, especially internationally. Some things that needed improvement, I didn't personally take the shuttle, but I had heard people saying they were waiting a little bit longer for the shuttle. So I had suggested to them, maybe you can do a water taxi for certain venues where a boat shuttles guests over. And the following year for 2017, they actually did implement that. But the waters ended up being too high and they ended up not being able to use that service. And I don't think they ever tried to bring it back, which I understand. But you know what? They tried. They actually thought, okay, that's a good idea. Another thing that they did that they implemented the following year was some of the after hours clubs were really small. So small that all the people that had a festival wristband couldn't fit in them. And I explained, like, hey, listen, like, this was a really cool venue and all, but you need to make sure you have capacity for everyone that is paying to go to your festival, whether they're VIP or GA, it doesn't matter. They're a paying customer. They need to be able to get into this venue. And so Adriatic was playing, which I love them. But besides the point, there was other things with that venue, like they ran out of water. And I don't think that was SXM's fault at all. Basically, I think that they were like renting out these smaller venues and hosting their festival in certain places, which ended up, it made them basically build their own beachfront. It made them Happy Bay, which is where they host 2 stages now. They got bigger after hours venues. They improved. So, and then they offered media to me the next year. And like, that was the type of thing where I was like, okay, I'm making a difference. Even though I am a smaller media outlet, I am making a difference for festivals because I'm helping them be the best they possibly can be. So that was another amazing experience. I have so much respect for SXM because they are a newer festival and they are killing it and they're just constantly improving. I really can't thank Groove Cruise and SXM enough for giving me a pass to come and help them, even though I'm a smaller outlet. Okay, so now let's get into some of the not so great things. Oh my God, where do I start? I covered an event that was not a festival, but it was 5,000 people. It basically could have been a mini festival. It was a one-day show run by a record label and a production company in Brooklyn. And I had a ticket and I had wrote to the production company and their PR saying, hey, I already have a ticket. I just want to be able to bring my camera. And this is actually something I need to bring up later, is the whole camera credentials thing for media and all that too. But anyway, I frequently did this a lot. If I had a ticket somewhere, I would write to their PR and say, hey, I'm not even looking for an exchange of, a free ticket. I already have a ticket. I just want to be able to bring my camera in so that I could share my story, so I could share my photos and have, my videos and all that, with my camera. And lots of times it worked. So this particular production company, they were like, okay, yeah, that's fine. You can bring your camera. Like, we have you on the list, blah, blah, blah. There were so many things that went wrong with this particular event. From the start, the line to get in was so long. First of all, this event was in August. It was so extremely hot. It was brutally hot. All of us were waiting in the sun, in line to get in. They were understaffed. They had 3 people trying to scan in, like it was a 5,000 person event. And everyone pretty much showed up when they were supposed to. And their staff wasn't prepared. Not only like were they understaffed, their staff wasn't prepared. Like, because when we got up to scan our tickets or whatever it was back then, this was like years ago, the one guy was like, oh, like my phone's dead. Like, offer your staff portable chargers. If you're going to be having an electronic scan-in, make sure that they are properly prepared. So that was like the first issue. And when I say the line was like ridiculous, I'm talking about hours to get in. It was really, really bad. You finally get in, and it was this, the venue was at a shipyard. So it was really industrial venue, really awesome venue. In fact, Elements Festival used to host their festival there, and they smashed it, and it was awesome. So I know that there's potential for this venue regardless of what happened at this particular event. But pretty much, they weren't allowing camelbacks. They had water refill stations, but they were allowing people 2 plastic bottles each. So you know what ended up happening with that? People got sick and tired of carrying those around, and there was plastic bottles all over the place, in addition to it being a abandoned shipyard with tons of rocks and cement craters everywhere. They had no medical. There was, honestly, like, I'm like getting a little heated even like thinking back to all this, because this was such like a crazy thing. Like they really just, they jeopardized the safety of everyone, and it really pissed me off. So I wrote about it. I wrote the truth. And I wrote the bad, and then I did write the good. And in fact, I had more good points than bad points. I had 3 major bad points. I had 5 major good points. Give them the benefit of the doubt. They're, still a really good record label, and, it was fun vibes and all that. But what ended up happening was I wrote about it, and I tagged every single DJ on that record label. I also tagged the production company. I tagged and shared it with everyone so that hopefully they could learn something from it. Well, that backfired, because my blog ended up getting reported as abusive content. So as a smaller creator, this was really bad, because at the time Facebook was really popular for sharing your blog posts, and I had just covered Mysteryland, and I couldn't share any of my links. It was so bad that I had to write an official letter to Facebook to get my blog unblocked from Facebook. It really was damaging, especially for a smaller media outlet that was just kind of starting off at that time. So, lesson here, friends. If you have something bad to say, warn them. Always warn them. Be like, hey, listen, thanks so much for the opportunity. I just want to let you know, like, there was a few things that went wrong, and I'm going to write about it. That way they have a heads up. I didn't do that. I just was like, blast this shit everywhere. And it was not good. So yeah, lesson learned from that. I don't know if it was any of them that reported it. My guess would be it was the production company, but either way, none of them got back to me about it. Like, not even one person was like, wow, thank you so much for taking the time to write about ways we can improve for our guests, So, really crazy. Okay, back to the whole camera credentials thing. I've applied to larger festivals that I was attending, even if I had a ticket, like Electric Forest, all that. And they have denied me media pass, and I think that I remember on the Festival Insider podcast, Emma bringing this up. I've been denied media because they don't really consider me media, even though I technically am media. It's a whole numbers game, right? So there's been multiple times where I have snuck my camera into festivals, which is like a big no-no, but this was my whole thing. I very much like to tell stories, especially as a personal blogger. I always wrote about what it was like, what my day was like, and what the whole weekend was like at a festival. And while I understand now the power of networking, so for instance, I could have still wrote all this article, and I could have, taken photos or asked to take photos from A Live Coverage, for example. They're a really huge media outlet that covers festivals, and they have a bunch of different photographers that are professional photographers for festivals that work for their team. I could have reached out to one of their photographers or to them in general and said, hey, can I use some of your photos on my blog post that I'm writing about? And that's a way to, network, and also you get their name out there, and then they would maybe share my blog post and get it out there, yada, yada. So we all understand how the networking works for social media nowadays. But at the time, and I still feel this way, which is why I'm sharing this with you, it gets to the point where, like, okay, if I'm writing about my experience where me and my friends walked into a photo booth and we went into a hidden room and we found ourselves on a bed getting poetry read to us by these girls in burlesque outfits, I want a picture of that. I don't want to be posting a generic picture of a crowd at a res set that I wasn't even at. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't fit with my story. So, like, I see how for, like, some of the mega blogs, networking with professional photographers that have these photo credentials are good. But for me personally, like, I want my camera so I can tell my story, especially if I'm going to do an after movie of some sort. This is just another issue I have as far as, like, media credentials. Like, now, of course, we have all these smartphones that take great photo and video, of course, but it's still not the same. If you have a DSLR, like, it's just not the same. It is so much work to tell a story just to feel like it's not even worth sharing, you know what I mean? Or feels like it's not as good as these influencers that, have all these followers because they look good in rave clothes. It's like that type of thing that it's coming to. Actually, that just reminded me, there was something that happened recently where I helped a friend out, an acquaintance of mine that I've known through festivals for a long time. They were running an event and they were in a pinch and they needed help with a write-up real quick. I said yes. It's not like they didn't offer me anything in exchange. They did. They said, hey, in the future, I will give you some tickets or whatever. But when it really came down to it, when it came down to it being the future, I saw that these influencers that have like 50, 60K followers on Instagram were being invited and I wasn't. And that hurt because I actually still did work too. You know what I mean? So, like, that's like why I'm trying to say, like, I don't want to discredit anyone. I feel like these influencers, they work really hard to build their following and their platform. So I definitely don't want to make it seem like I don't feel like they are worthy to be going to events. But don't you want someone that actually covers events to help you make it better be there? That's kind of where I'm at now and why I kind of stopped writing, to be completely honest. And now I'm sharing a lot of stuff through video because I feel like it's like a better creative outlet for me, being able to edit and kind of use my creativity that way. I don't really know where we're going to go in the future, but I really think that what Emma and MJ are doing with this Festival Insider podcast is going to be brilliant to, connect the fans with the industry professionals. Like I said, everyone knows I'm a big fan of going to festival conferences. That's another way for fans to meet industry professionals and network. I've been doing that for years, which is how I got involved in the festival industry to begin with. So, yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about this. I don't know if I missed anything, but that pretty much is going to be my video for this topic. I really, really enjoyed the podcast. Make sure you go check out their podcast for sure. And if you aren't subscribed to my channel, definitely subscribe. I talk about F words here on my channel. I also talk about tarot cards and a whole bunch of stuff, all my passions basically. So make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it. And thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.